now we have discussed about um, several tools, okay, and that constitutes this particular metabolic pathway. So now we can start to decipher some of this metabolic pathway. Sorry. Okay. And now I just want to show you perhaps not all the metabolic pathway that has been already described, because it will be boring at the end. Okay, but just to give you the case of how they are built. And this case also are for big importance for us to orientate, in fact, our research to, if we wanted to describe a particular part of the pathway or a sub-branch of a pathway and so on. So this is important to have a global scale of the global organization of this metabolic pathway. So this is what I will propose you to see today, with example, obviously, in terpenes, in flavonoids, and in alkaloids pathway. Just this slide, I like a lot this slide, because it's a way to make the link between all details I say to you and what happens normally during the evolution. Here you have a scale from the beginning, birth of the Earth, 5.6 giga years, so means it was a big bang, okay? And from this state, here are the origin of the life. And with the origin of the life, there was also origin of metabolism. So this is a very long story. And on this scale, what it is interesting, you have this event that have been very important to create the kingdom of plants. That was what we call the endosymbiose of a prokaryote, in particular a cyanobacteria, that have been integrated in an eukaryotic cell, in order to create the first cells that will be able to make some photosynthesis. So this event was very interesting, because not only the prokaryote have given to this eukaryotic cell the ability to make some photosynthesis, because in the prokaryote there was the enzyme, the pigment, chlorophyll, and so on, all the elements necessary to make some photosynthesis. But also in prokaryotes there is some metabolic pathway. And what happens during this endosymbiose system is that a large part of the gene that were included in the genome, in the chromosome of the prokaryote, have been migrated to the nucleus of the eukaryotic cell. So means that in fact a large part of some of the genes come from prokaryote origin. Okay, not all, but a part, and particularly some that are involved in secondary metabolites. And after that, from these first cells that have been mainly involved in evolution of primary metabolism, we have seen that the fact to go on the planet with a terrestrialization, what means when the plants were becoming terrestrial plants, they have diversified, as I said to you before, okay, their metabolism, so with emergence of specific one. And what it is interesting is that not only so far time, just 100 billion years, with the appearance of flowering plants, we have an enhancement, very important enhancement of metabolism diversification at the metabolic pathway. And just for you, at the present, what it is interesting is that we do lots of selection of plants according their use for us. And this lead, for example, to increase some particular metabolites for food, for color, for odor, for different, depend of the application. And finally, the human selection may have also now an influence of the evolution of these metabolites pathway in the plant. So it will be interesting, but I think for us not, for you perhaps, but I think it will need some generation, okay, in order to see the impact of this selective way we use, okay, on the global metabolisms on plants. So nice to have this idea today, because in fact, what we are looking for is to create or to select plants or different other systems that produce different specialized metabolite or primary starch, for example, is primary metabolite. So it's interesting to have this in mind to see that this type of evolution. I will here I have put the same slide I showed you just before. Just to remember you that this organization with three different steps, of this type of metabolic pathway, it is really important to identify the intermediates, to have the idea of what are the difference between the section 1 and the section 2 of this metabolic pathway. And what are interesting for me is to present specifically at least 4 metabolic pathways that are concerned by the main important metabolites. Terpenes pathway, we have seen that terpenes are one of the most important, family of metabolite, specialized metabolite. Alkaloid pathway, due to their importance. Phenylpropanoid pathway, for the same idea. And perhaps just 1 or 2 slides to show what happens with glycosinolate pathway. There is some other pathway that could be also presented by Professor Smita the next time. So, just to remember for you, that there is a very close link between primary carbon metabolism and specialized carbon metabolisms. And what it is interesting for me now is to decipher this part of the pathway, that it is mainly derived by 4 different routes. The first one is named shikimic acid routes, pathway, malonic acid, mevalonic and methyl erythritol pathway. So I wanted just to decipher a little bit these routes for you to be like that. You will be very interested by this common part, of the routes that are common to several plants. After there is the specialized one that can be completely different from one to the other plants. So it is difficult to present, a general scheme of this part of the pathway. I will show you only some examples, but not an exhaustive idea of this. It's too much. So the process, of the metabolic pathway, whatever the type of specialized metabolite that can be produced, is organized in 3 things. The first one is the synthesis of the main precursor. So what I have called the core in my last slide of the previous presentation. The phase 2 is how to functionalize this core in order to give it some more reactivity, probability. And this is due mainly by oxidation and reduction activity. So monooxygenase, dehydroxyoxygenase. And in this case, lots of enzymes that I presented you before are involved in this second phase. And after that, there is a third one that is called for the correction, of the molecule. And it is in this part of the pathway that you have the different more specific activity of the enzyme I presented just before. Hydroxylation, that it is a prerequisite for the addition of several types of substituents. So hydroxylase are very important also to prepare the metabolites to receive new addition of new group. So it's very important. This is why you have a lot of hydroxylation between the end of the second and at the beginning of the third phase. And also during the third phase, depending on the number of steps you have between the precursor and the final product. And it is also in this phase that you find several other types of activities, such as substitution, methylation, amination, glycosylation, and finally, some acylation that are most often the ultimate step of this phase. So if you have this idea in mind, it will be easier to follow how pathways are organized. So there is a first view, okay, that is very interesting, is that you see here, it is what I proposed you yesterday, that the enhancing metabolisms is photosynthesis. Photosynthesis leads to production of glucose globally, okay, and this glucose can be, okay, transformed via several steps to give some particular precursors, such as erythrophosphate and pyruvate. And the interest of this is that finally one of intermediates of the first level of intermediates is acetyl coenzyme A. From this molecule, you can initiate quite all the pathway leading to specialized metabolite, second intermediates, okay? So it is a really important molecule. This molecule is also involved in primary metabolites, so means that to have enough precursor to feed, in fact, the primary metabolism and also secondary metabolism, okay? You need to have enough production of acetyl-CoA. Means that you need to have enough glucose at the beginning, okay? So you need to have an efficient photosynthesis to produce all the molecule needed to have enough these intermediates. So these intermediates, you can see here, can be directly included in what we call the Krebs cycle. Okay, you have perhaps already seen that in biochemistry lecture. And this is important because, okay, these Krebs cycles lead to production of specifically some amino acids such as aspartate, and we have seen that this amino acid is the precursor of specific alkaloids, for example. On the other way, this molecule can be also added with other compounds, coenzyme compounds such as malonyl, to initiate, okay, very important metabolic pathway, secondary metabolic pathway, mainly those that are involved in terpenes precursor production, second intermediates. And we will decipher a little bit the pathway that are leading for all of these terpenes. And from these terpenes, you have after production of other type of molecule, saponins that are complex terpenes, but also you can combine alkaloid with terpenes to have terpenoid alkaloids and so on and so on. Okay, and what here also you can observe that Krebs cycle is very important because it can be also the initiative point of several metabolic pathway by this one, aspartate, but also with glutamate that is at the origin of ornithine and arginine production, and I show you before that they are very important to initiate, for example, alkaloid pathway and so on and so on. So by this way, you can see that it is a simple representation, okay, of the beginning of the metabolic pathway that are common to all the plants, okay, because this intermediate is necessary for several applications. Another route that is very important, it is what we call the Shikimate pathway. Shikimate pathway, I show you that here you have this precursor and also you have pyruvate, that is a second one, come from the condensation, okay, of two precursors erythrophosphate and pyruvate that have been phosphorylated, what is called phosphoenol pyruvate. And both of these two molecules can be combined in order to make the Shikimate. And the Shikimate is one of the main entry for, in particular, phenyl compounds metabolic pathways. So here also, you can see that the two precursors come from glycosis, donc come from these first metabolisms to produce glucose. So they are linked really closely with this type of metabolites. And here you can see that from this Shikimate, the second intermediates can be chorismates that lead, according different modification, to different branch that can be also branch again after. So we have at this moment all the diversification we can observe and leading to, in particular, 3 different amino acids such as tyrosine, phenylalanine, and tryptophan that are the first precursor of the different pathway leading to phenyl compounds or ici alkaloid or glucosinolate compounds. What it is shown here in red, in a square red, is the name of the enzymes, okay, that are important to enter, okay, in this metabolic pathway. This enzyme, for example, it is the chalcone synthase, and we have seen that to produce the chalcone is the first step of the phenolic compound metabolic pathways. So this enzyme is able to modify this precursor to make the second step of a precursor to lead to all the phenyl compounds. There is another one ici, the PAL. The PAL is phenylalanine ammonia lyase. It's also a common enzyme that is present in all plants because combined with chalcone synthase, they can also induce a diversification of phenolic compound production. So by this way, at least there is some genes that are ubiquitous, means that they are present in all plants because they are necessary to enter in the metabolic pathway and to produce the first intermediates that are common to all plants, okay? And it is also the case for alkaloids, where you have two major enzymes that are obliged to be present if you want to make some strictozidine. We have seen already that, and we will see that after. Strictozidine is the second intermediate that lead to the specific metabolic pathway of alkaloid. And strictozidine come from tryptophan decarboxylase to produce tryptamine, and a strictozidine synthase that can be able to combine secologanine and tryptamine to produce the first, what we name the first alkaloids precursor, strictozidine. So this is very important because this also exists in all plants that are able to produce some alkaloids. So it's not specific of one species, it's common to species that are able to produce some alkaloid. The specificity come after, downstairs, okay, at the end of this metabolic pathway. To simplify, this is quite nice. To simplify, in fact, we can identify at least eight main basic building blocks. What it is? It is some specific molecular groups that are at the initiation of several branch of the metabolic pathway. And finally, when we observe all the metabolic pathway we have already known, decipher and so on, we have find only these 8 building blocks. Okay, so here they are listed. Here are the carbon, the number of carbon that are involved, okay, in the start point of this metabolic pathway. To make some more detail, I propose you a more detailed table in which you can observe these different building blocks. For example, the simple one, where there is only one carbon that it is the target of modification, is the SAM, which is S-adenosyl methionine. It's a very important first intermediate that can be modified or that can be used to modify other metabolites. And this is what we call C1 unit, because there is just one carbon that is involved in the reaction. It can be used in different metabolic pathways. This is why there is no specifically name here. But when we start to see more complex, building blocks, such as, for example, acetyl-CoA, which I presented just before, we see that in this case, there is two carbon that can be, modified, that can lead to different, metabolic pathway. And in particular, they are very interesting for, we have seen that there is involved in different one, but in production on fatty acids, for example, and polyketides. So that we have this type of building blocks that are very important, particularly for terpenoids and sterols production. It is the isopentenyl diphosphate and the isomer of isopentenyl diphosphate, the dimethylallyl diphosphate, DMAPP or IPP, it's shorter to pronounce, Both of them have 5 carbons, and all of the carbon can be targeted by different modification or addition and so on. And they are produced, they are involved in what we call mevalonate or MEP pathway that leads to the diversity of terpenes. After that, we have more complex molecules, such as, for example, the 3 amino acids, phenylalanine, tyrosine, and tryptophan. Here you have the structure of molecules. We see here the 2 amino acid function, amine and caesar acid. And what it is interesting here is that, in fact, this building block can be modified on several parts of this, of the core of the molecule, and lead to the Shikimate pathway I showed you just before, and they are responsible of the production of other specialized metabolite families, such as lignans, phenyl compounds, alkaloids, aromatic, non-aromatic, indolic, non-indolic, dependent. But the start point can be this one. And to finalize, there is 2 other building blocks, more complex, in which not only carbon are important, but also nitrogen. Here, 4 atoms of carbon and 1 atom of nitrogen. In the ornithine, is very important to initiate the metabolic pathway, leading to specific alkaloid, non-aromatic, such as pyrrolidine. And you have lysine that have exactly the same purpose, with 5 carbons and 1 hydrogen. They are responsible of the metabolic pathway called lysine metabolic pathway, because it is the initiation point, and then leads to alkaloid non-aromatic, for example, this one. So it was interesting, to have this view that only finally few number of molecules, not so many, so different, but few number of molecules can be used as starting point of several branches that can be diversified after. When you are in front of a molecule, and when you want to know if they're derived from phenylpropanoid pathway, alkaloid pathway, or other type of pathway, you can make a joke. You can play a joke. It means you can ask a first question: do my molecule have a nitrogen atoms? Or yes or no. If it's no, you have other type of question that can be asked. There is an aromatic ring, yes or no. And if there is aromatic rings, do they have oxygen, groups, or as oxygen, or as hydroxyl group, so on. And step by step, you can propose the classification of this molecule to one or to the other type of family, secondary metabolites families. that is interesting because when you want after try to find how it is biosynthesized in the plant, in the cell, okay, if you know that it is mainly metabolic pathway, for example, phenolic compounds, you already know that it starts with the same type of pathway leading to a chalcone synthase or PAL, okay? And after, depending of presence or not of ring, etc., you have specifically a branch that can be activated. And if it is yes, you know that the main family that have an nitrogen atom in their formulation are alkaloids. Or you have seen that alkaloids are completely diverse too. So you have type of other question. Do they have aromatic structure, including the nitrogen atoms? Yes or no, depending of this question that you may have an idea of which type of alkaloid could be the molecule you have found without any idea of which type of molecule it is. So it is one of example, but it is a way to step by step try to find the family in which this molecule will be included. Okay, that could let us to have some idea of what are the type of metabolic pathway that could be initiated for production of this molecule. We will see with omic analysis that in fact now we have some new tools, what we call the network with a molecule, means that you take one as reference, structure of the molecule is a reference, and after you compare, okay, the possibility of the structure, even if you don't know which molecule it is, you have not possibility to annotate them, but you can closely link some to a metabolite of reference. So by this way, you can create some subdomain of molecules that are closer phenyl compounds and alkaloid compounds and so on. So it's very interesting to see, and it is exactly the type of the question that the machine asks for itself in order to create this type of network. Okay, so now you have the global idea, so I can make some detail of specific metabolic pathway, and I want to share with you different things concerning the terpenes pathway, because they are very specific in plants. Terpenes are present in all organisms, including animal kingdoms, fungal kingdoms, and so on. So means that they are all able to produce terpenes, for example, sterols. They are obliged to be present, okay, for the cell membrane, for example, and so on. So what it is different in plants than it is in other eukaryotic cells, because they are very specific. In fact, remember that all the terpenes, okay, become from a unique precursor named isoprene. And depending the polymerization, the degree of polymerization of isoprene, you have hemi, mono, sesquiterpene, etc., etc. So this is okay. We have already seen together. What it is interesting is that in fact, this isoprene precursor to be linked need to be modified. They need to have a biphosphate group added to the isoprene, because biphosphate group has lots of energy, so it can be used to make, okay, the polymerization. So this is important. So the question was a long time ago, do this diphosphate group is added to the isoprene at the end of isoprene biosynthesis, or is directly including the molecule that lead to this IPP or DMIPP. The second way is a good one. And this was the first point of the history to find, to decipher, to discover what are the pathways leading to these two molecules, IPP and DMIPP. The classical pathway known for every eukaryotic and also prokaryotic cells are what we call mevalonate pathway, due to one of the intermediate mevalonate that is as very starting point of the metabolic pathway, and this pathway leads to production of IPP in particular. But you see, it's not so far. It was in 1988. There was a specific groups that worked in Strasbourg, and Michel Romers is still alive, and he is the father of the discovery of this pathway in plants, because he was working on terpenes biosynthesis in prokaryote compared to eukaryote, okay? And he realized that, in fact, in bacteria and in protozoa in particular, they produce the IPP, but also the isomer DMAPP by another pathway, that it is completely different from the mevalonate pathway. Not only this pathway is different, but this pathway is not localized in the same organelle. So means that, in fact, in these organisms, you have another pathway that leads exactly to the same molecule, IPP and DMAPP. And what happens in plants? Plants have both. They have the mevalonate pathway, that is a classical one, and they have also the merinitritol 4-phosphate, MEP pathway, that have been acquired more recently. So by this way, it is interesting to ask the question, when some terpenes are biosynthesized, do they come from MEP pathway or mevalonate pathway? Because we have seen that even if they produce exactly the same intermediates, EPP, for example, the EPP, depending on the origin, may be included in different secondary metabolite pathway. So they don't lead to the same type of terpenes. So it seems that there is an influence of the localization of these both two pathway, okay, to produce this. So what are these pathways? Here are represented the mevalonate pathway. Here are represented the MEP pathway. You see, there are not so small pathway. Here are 6 steps. All the steps are catalyzed by specific enzymes that progressively, from acetyl-CoA, it's the precursor I show you, you arrive to production of IPP. I don't want to enter in the detail of each enzyme. You could have this information in literature. There is no problem for that. But what you have to keep in mind is that if I do a sort of bilan, okay, of this reaction, it needs to have 3 acetyl-CoA at the beginning. You need to consume different molecules of energy, such as ATP and NADPH, to produce 1 molecule of IPP and 1 molecule of CO2 that is a sort of co-product, byproduct that is eliminated after. If I take a look of the MEP pathway, the MEP pathway is quite the same longer, 7 steps instead of 6. But you see here, there is not exactly the same final production. At the beginning, the 2 precursors are not acetyl-CoA. They are pyruvate, but pyruvate is just before acetyl-CoA, okay? And also 1 other molecule that it is geranine triphosphate, GP3, yeah. And you see here, they use lots of molecules of energy, NADPH, ATP, TP also, and also some reduced ferredoxine, because there is some step particular that include the transfer of some electron. And the final production is not only IPP, but also its isomer, IPP and DMAPP, by the same pathway, okay? It is due to the last enzyme, d'accord, EDS, that is able to produce the racemic, okay, production of both isomers. That is important because we will see that in terpenes biosynthesis, the condensation is between 1 IPP with 1 DMAPP. And after you had DMAPP, okay, in order to increase the chain, okay, of the terpenes. So this is very important to have in mind. So for you, I have put this slide in which I have gave the name of each enzyme, okay, and each metabolite that are mentioned in this pathway. I think it is not necessary for me to go at this level of details at this moment. So please take a look, and if you have any question, I could have pleasure to answer you. What is also the difference between both of these pathways is that they are not localized in the same place in the cells. As I say to you, the classical one, mevalonate pathway, are a cytosolic pathway, meaning that the IPP, which is produced by this pathway, is directly in the cytosol. But we know that this molecule, IPP, can be taken charge in different other organelles in order to produce several other terpenes from this molecule. For example, there is in mitochondria an ED that permits that this EPP, when it is coming in the mitochondria, they can be also transformed in isomer DMAPP, and they can, be served to develop several production, in particular prenyl as FPP, GPP, and we will see that. And on the other way, the MEP pathway is organized in the chloroplast. Okay, so means that there is a compartmentalization of each pathway, and I'm sure now, it is why some of the IPP produced by this pathway is linked with specific terpenes, okay, while this IPP produced by mevalonate pathway is linked with other terpenes. But now there is a lot of work that have been done in order to see if there is some transfer from one pool of EPP in the cytosol to the chloroplast, and on the contrary, from the chloroplast. The story is not so simple. Okay, there is already some study of it, because in fact, it was quite difficult to have a clear idea, okay, of the origin of IPP, of several terpenes. So it's very interesting to follow as a fundamental research, for example. So here it's interesting because all the gene encoding the different enzymes necessary for the production of ED come from nucleus. They are not included in a chloroplast genomes. And there is a lot of theory to know from which genome they derives. It was perhaps the primary genome of the bacteria that have been in the endosymbiosis, but as the gene have been transferred from the bacteria to the nucleus, now it is the nucleus that it is responsible of the production. But all the proteins have a specific address sequence that lead this protein to go in the chloroplast. This is why, in fact, the pathway is completely reconstituted in the chloroplast. So it's also interesting to have this idea of the origin of this metabolic pathway. So now they are well known. All the genes have been sequenced in several number of plants. What it is interesting is that they are not in one copy. For example, the first one, the XS, or the second one, the XS, can be in 3 or 4 copies. Why? There is a lot of study, what we call the non-functional study. We delete one of the enzyme, one of the gene, and we see the consequence for the plant, for example, and so on. So there is a lot of study trying to explain what they have a multi-copy of the gene. The plant have the multi-copy of the gene of this fundamental pathway leading to this intermediate.